Hi guys, this is a review of the Astro MixAmp, and lots of people have done reviews on these from a technical perspective. I hope this will be a little bit different because I'm going to do it from the standpoint of an audiophile and somebody with a technical background. So the reason I've got so much interest in this product is, as far as I can tell, and if something's changed in the meantime, I don't know when you're going to be listening to this, but this is the only DAC amp that the Xbox Series X supports, and I believe the S as well. The Xbox One had an optical cable out, and you could do whatever you wanted with it. The new one does not. It only has your HDMI out. So your choices are you can do HDMI out, and then you can do it to an HDMI audio extractor, and then send that to whatever device you want to use, and that's what I was using before. I've got a shit Magni Modi stack that you will see in the video that sounds pretty good with this. What you don't get is the directionality, the precision, the Dolby Atmos with the pinpoint accuracy and detail. You don't get all that if you just put it out to an amp. But what you do get is you get a much better sound than you would directly to your headphones or out of your TV. So it was already an upgrade from that standpoint. So I'm using an HDMI audio extractor to get sound out of the Xbox currently. This was something I wanted. My wife got it for me for Christmas, and I am just so impressed by it. I don't know if you can see or feel, but this is metal. Like, this is real metal. These knobs feel super high quality. The buttons are clicky. Like, this feels like something that is meant to last a long time. This is not a cheesy piece of consumer electronics. It's got like a rubberized bottom on it, and it just, like, it's just really nice. It feels like a piece of expensive tech equipment. It does not feel like a cheap, cheesy home use device. So it took me a while to figure out the product too, so now I can explain it to you. During the video, I was a little bit confused about everything. So this button here, I believe, is your different EQs. I didn't really mess with it because it sounded great the way it was, so I just left it alone. This up here can be a little bit confusing. So the way that this product works is you've got a card in the box, which is this, and on the back of it there's a scratch off card so that you can redeem the Dolby Atmos. That I tested a bunch of stuff, and spoiler alert, that gives you the best sound that I could tell. There is also built in, I forget what the Microsoft one is called. What was it called? I don't know, whatever it is, it feels like a cheaper imitation of Atmos. Okay, so when you start using all this, the Atmos by far sounds the best. But there's some intricacies to that as well, because it's the best way to say this. So I tested this on Fallout 4. Incredible, and I'll give you guys the audio later in the video. But essentially, if you play this on Fallout 4, what you'll find is that the USB that comes from so the only way to power this is with a USB connection. Let's see it here, right there, and when you power it that way, the only way to get that power is directly from the Xbox, which introduces electrical interference with it. So when I was doing that, I used a pair of IEMs like the TIN T2s, and you could literally hear a static buzzing in one of the ears if you used just the straight USB connection from the Xbox itself to this device. And when you plugged in the optical, you did not get any of that, and it felt like I was getting better sound, and it felt bigger, and it felt clearer, and it felt more powerful. So I did a little bit of research after the fact because there's a lot of people talking about this and saying, hey, the USB is supposed to be the best. No, optical sounds better, back and forth. And that's where you start to get into the weeds on this. And there's only so much I can do. Like, I've already spent hours and hours and hours on this, and it's starting to feel like it's getting a little bit in the weeds. But here's the short version of it, is that as far as I can tell, like the HDMI audio extractor that I have with optical out on it cannot do Atmos. Okay? But it can do other Dolby versions that are like down to 5.1. So I think what I'm hearing is I'm hearing the fact that optical sounds better in that scenario because it's not passing along audio interference or any kind of electrical interference, but it's also not competing with Atmos because an old game like Fallout doesn't support Atmos. So as far as I can tell, and I don't know how you would verify each step in the way, and this is why I said it starts to get out in the weeds. So you have to have hardware that supports Atmos. You have to have software that supports Atmos as well. So you have to have this device supporting Atmos. You have to have your Xbox supporting Atmos. But then it gets a little confusing too, because this is what I was going to start talking about, is that, so this star, when you leave it on star after you've installed this, now the Xbox is giving you the Dolby Atmos. So that's coming from the Xbox itself. If you leave this guy on over here, it sounds all weird and echoey because it's trying to double process it. You have to put it on this because you're not asking the MixAmp to do any processing at that point. It's all coming from the Xbox itself. So the Xbox will do it, or you can have this device do it, but then you have to turn off that feature within the Xbox and then just use this. I've tried it a bunch of different ways, and it sounds way better if you just use the software on the Xbox and export it. But this is the point that I was trying to get around to, is that I could be wrong on this, and that's part of why I don't know how much I should speak on this, because I don't have hours and hours and hours worth of time to perfect the research. But as far as I can tell, with the time that I spent on it with my own ears, it seems to be if you play something like Fallout, you're going to get a Dolby surround sound kind of mix sent out. And it doesn't sound as good over USB because you're getting a noisy signal. And over optical, it sounds much clearer, more powerful, larger, more volume. But when I looked up, well, what games support Dolby Atmos? And when I looked that up, I had Cyberpunk already. Cyberpunk is on that list. So I was able to play that. And again, I don't know if it's placebo or what, but I went back and forth, and there was crispness, there was reverb, there was all kinds of subtle stuff that I could pick up on a really good pair of headphones. Like I'm using the Drop 58X headphones to plug into them. I mean, I'm betting if you just plug in whatever to them, you can't hear that detail. But as far as I could tell, doing some A/Bing on something like Cyberpunk, there was an additional level of really clear detail, and it sounded like when I didn't use that option by plugging in the optical for that specific game, I then started to lose some of that definition, some of that crispness and clarity. But at the same time, I've spent a lot of time on this project already. I may circle back to it, but I just don't have the time right now to invest in, like, the very, how it gets with the very detailed audiophile stuff, and all of a sudden it's got to be 7.1 is not good as 5.1. It just becomes this big thing where all I can do is tell you by my ears what I heard. And I can tell you that regardless of the exact setup you use, we're talking about like the last 10%. Just getting this and configuring it halfway right is like multiple times better than whatever you can get out of the Xbox itself, like a giant leap. And then the minor differences you do to get the changes from there are minor changes, and obviously if you're the type of person to watch this or buy one of these, that's probably important to you. But it's probably something that maybe we can work together and I can get some feedback. I know there's lots of guys on Reddit that are really smart about this stuff, and smarter than I am, that can help figure out that last 10% perfectly. But what I am showing you in this video, and what I was hoping to get across, is when I just showed my whole journey through this, trying to set this thing up, and all the troubles that I had with it. I will timestamp stuff. You don't have to watch all of it. It's there if you want. I think there's some things that are funny. I get mad towards the end about the whole thing. And I troubleshoot a lot of things, kind of explain, from somebody who's been, in the tech industry for a while. Kind of the patience that it takes sometimes to troubleshoot technology equipment and get from point A to point B. So there's the vast majority of this video is going to be that. But I think there's some really interesting, like, even if you want to skip, there's going to be timestamps. And at the end, I've got in-ear microphones that I use, and I put on my Drop 58X headphones, and you can actually hear the difference. Oh, this is the other thing I was going to ask you, is that please get a decent pair of headphones to listen to those things. Is if you're listening to this out of your TV or something, you're not going to hear the difference. And I'm going to ask, if my channel takes off at all, I'm going to put this in every one of them. There's no reason why you can't afford a decent pair of IEMs or headphones. So I'm going to give you a couple options. The Moondrop Quarks are literally under $15, and I ran back the test. I listened to all the audio. You can hear a gigantic difference. You can get them off of Amazon for like $13. And I'm pretty sure that Moondrop is available all over the world. So even if you're watching this and you're in some other country, I believe they're pretty readily accessible. And I love them. I think everybody should own a pair of them. The other option is the KSC 75s from Koss, are a beautiful pair of headphones, and I think you will also, I did not test those, but I have to imagine you're going to be able to hear with those as well. But if you're serious about audio at all, for around $30, you can have both of those, and I think they should be in everybody's collection anyway. So I wanted to show you what all this came with, just so you knew, or we'll get back to these. Okay, so this comes in the box. I have not gotten this far yet. I believe it has something to do with daisy chaining the equipment. So if you wanted to, I think, like, plug in a second one for a second, honestly, I'm not sure. This is probably something I need to get figured out. I do apologize, but I'm pretty sure that one of the configurations, which is that if you want to plug in the USB to your computer, so you're using that as a source, you can do that. And have it plugged in that way. And then you could use your optical connection to go from your Xbox to an HDMI extractor, and then use that HDMI extractor optical into this, and then just switch back and forth between them. But I'm kind of getting in the weeds. I don't think you should do that, I guess, getting back to the point. I believe what you should do with this, even though you've got the optical options and all that, and I'm going to test this too before the video comes out, is I'm going to try to do a separate USB power, so a USB power injector to the back of this, and hopefully alleviate the noise that we're getting. I'm hoping that that's because it's getting power from the Xbox itself. I would not use the optical unless you're using a game that does not support Atmos, or you could just leave it plugged in all the time. It's totally up to you, but that was my experience. That's what I plan on doing. So this is what they send you. See, I already used it, so it's already wrapped up here, but it's really nice. I mean, the quality of the cable is really nice. You don't have to replace any of these, but they are really long. So this is an optical cable that it came with, so that's what I tested it with. It works great. This is not what came with it. I don't know what I did with the splitter. You'll see it in the video, the quality of it, but essentially it comes with one of these splitter adapters so that you can, you can plug this in if you have headphones that need to be split. Is that even true? I've got the wrong style here. This is backwards. That's not even true. This isn't even the right one, so never mind. Okay, it also comes with this mega, and you'll see this in the video too, this mega USB cable, or that's micro on the end. So, can you focus? Okay, yeah. Yeah, so it's a micro. So if you're like me and you've been around a while and you've had different pieces of electronics, you probably have a million of those lying around. I used a smaller one that I had. I did not want to use this giant monster of a thing. So I did not. Okay, one of the reasons this video is important is there aren't any options, I believe, other than this for the Xbox. So if you want something audiophile grade, this is really your only option for it. So the other thing I'm going to talk about is this guy. This is the Xbox wireless headset, and it's been around for a while. I replaced the pads on mine with these softer, I forget what they're called, but velour pads maybe. It didn't improve the sound quality any, but the reason I put these on is that I get hot ears like really easy. And these made it way easier for me, and I don't get the hot ears when I use these. Okay, so just to give you option A and option B and option C here. So your option A with an Xbox Series X is you just plug something into your headphone jack. And I'll show you later on with the sound comparisons. The sound is I mean, they're in completely different universes. It's not even close. It sounds absolutely atrocious compared to having some kind of dedicated piece of hardware to do it. So you can just plug a pair of crappy headphones or whatever, some kind of gaming headset into it and go on with your life, and you'll probably think everything's fine, but it's actually, you're missing out on so much. The other option is you could go HDMI out, you can go into your TV, and then you can plug it into your TV. There you go, right? Sounds great. It doesn't sound great though, because you're using the digital to analog converter. It's part of your TV, and it doesn't really sound much better than the controller on when you plug it into the controller. So those are your only options there. So then you start gradually. You say, okay, well, I could just plug in my DAC, or I could plug this in. You can't plug in anything to the Xbox. It doesn't recognize anything. Something may have changed. Don't kill me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is like literally the only DAC that is supported, and you can't plug in just whatever you want. So that's the integrated options that you have with the Xbox itself. The next option is that you can go out. So you buy the HDMI the HDMI audio extractor. So you go HDMI into it, and then you go HDMI out to your TV, and then you plug in the optical cable into the extractor, and then you plug that optical cable out to something, which is usually a DAC. Like for me, I have Ship Magni Modi stack, and so it goes into the Modi, which is your DAC with an optical cable, and then it can send it out to your amplifier. And that sounds good. Sounds a lot better than nothing. And it was a pain to get set up right and find the right HDMI extractor and all that. But it was a difference that I could truly appreciate and I really enjoy. So that's another option that you have. That's probably on par with just buying this. And as you can say, I mean, I've been talking for a while. There's a lot of stuff you have to do and figure out and all that just to do those options, especially the Modi Magni stack. I mean, you got to do some fiddling to get it all. I mean, once it's working, there's nothing to it. But this doesn't sound as good as that. But this has some real benefits to it that you can't get with, I don't believe, with anything else. I mean, I know they make base station whatever, you can even use the bass for this MixAmp, and you just add the A40 to it. But here's the thing, is that this is like $100 or less. Sometimes you can get it on sale for significantly less than that. It can connect to Bluetooth and it can connect to your Xbox at the same time, which means this is the only device I know of where, and I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with every wireless gaming headset out there. Maybe there's something else that does this. If so, I apologize. But as far as what I know is that, okay, this connects Bluetooth to your phone simultaneously to the Xbox, okay? So you can use your phone and reach over to your phone's volume and play whatever music you want. You know, move it up, move it down, listen to a podcast, whatever you want to do, and it'll pipe in through the ears on these. And you can pause it on your phone, whatever, and it'll stop. But what it also will do is play your game sounds at the same time. So now you're mixing those two things together. You can pause your music on your phone, whatever. It's a separate stream. But then within that, you've got these cups that rotate. So it's been a little bit since I used it, but I'm pretty sure so this is your volume completely, volume up and down. This is your mixer. So I can change the volume from a phone going to this, and then I can also change this. So like I'm moving forward, I can hear more of the game, Oh, the guys are talking, this is getting annoying, I don't want to hear the song in the game. I turn it all the way down here. Okay, well now I just have voice from the guys in the chat. But at the same time, I could do that, so I can take the game audio out, and I can be listening to music at the same time, and then adjust the volume level of that directly to my phone. So I'm mixing in game sound and party sound and whatever sound is coming from my Bluetooth. So if I wanted to listen to a podcast while I've got the volume in the game down, I could do that and then just kind of mix this for how much of the game sound that I want to hear at the same time. And I can walk around my house with this thing. I'm not tethered to my desk. So there's a lot of value, I think, to this. And I don't know that everybody understands how, like, just what a good product this is. But I think if you've got an Xbox, you should have this. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I can say. Basically, I'm just going to take you through. So what's going to happen is the first part of this video is going to be me trying to make sense out of the asinine instructions and trying to make sense out of everything. And like I said, I will timestamp it. It's probably 20 plus minutes of me scratching my head and trying, but I tried to cut out all the stuff that wasn't relevant or entertaining. So hopefully it's something that you would enjoy. So you're going to go through that, but you can also just skip to, if you just want to see like the audio tests of like what the differences are and my final thoughts on everything, then you can do that as well, and no hard feelings if you decide to skip. But I do think this is an important video because I don't know that people realize just how big a difference that these things make, and what all the options you have to use it and how to send audio in and out from it. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and obviously if you enjoy this, I'd love to get some subscribers and start this journey. So thank you.